2004 to 2% in 2017-2018. The law currently provides for an annual inflation adjustment for excisable goods that have a specific rate. The adjustment was done last year, and the rates of excise duty on these goods were increased by 5.2%. Mr. Speaker, although the rates will be adjusted again in July by inflation rate provided by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, the adjustment may not be adequate to address the declining trend of excise revenue. Mr. Speaker, in order to address this decline and to boost excise revenue, I propose to increase the rate of excise duty on cigarettes, wines, and spirits by 15%. In other words, Mr. Speaker, excise duty on alcohol and tobacco will be increased as follows. A 750 ml bottle of wine will have an excise duty of 136 shillings, which is 18 shillings more from the current rates. The duty of a bottle of whiskey,
All the members, even if you're excited or affected.
The duty of a bottle of whiskey will go up by 24 shillings to Kenya shilling 182 for a 750 ml bottle. The excise duty of a packet of 20 cigarettes will increase by 8 shillings to 61 shillings per packet. Mr. Speaker, the government introduced the growth and the enterprise market segment with favorable listing conditions for SME to raise finance from the capital markets for growth. However, the uptake has not been good in view of the potential back taxes that the enterprises may be facing. In this regard, Mr. Speaker, I propose to introduce amnesty on the tax penalties and interest on any outstanding tax for 2 years period to the listing for SMEs that list under the GEMS program to encourage them to list and clear their tax records. The principal tax shall, however, be fully paid. Mr. Speaker, the government is keen to position Kenya as a prime financial center in East and Central Africa. The first step to achieve this is to make our financial services accessible to both Kenyans and our visitors. Currently, Mr. Speaker, the law requires one to have KRA PIN before opening bank account. This poses challenges to visiting foreigners, privileged persons, and foreign investors investing in our financial market. In this regard, I propose to amend the Tax Procedure Act to empower the Commissioner to grant exemptions from the PIN requirement in certain circumstances when opening a bank account. Mr. Speaker, last year, through the Finance Act 2018, I introduced an anti-adulteration levy on illuminating kerosene in order to check the menace of adulteration of fuel. In addition to reducing the adulteration of fuel products, this levy increased the cost to manufacturers of paint and resin who use illuminating kerosene as input. In order to address this problem, Mr. Speaker, I propose to introduce a provision under Miscellaneous Fee and Levies Act 2016 that will allow manufacturers of paint and resin to get refund on the levy paid. Mr. Speaker, in order to further cushion our local manufacturers and facilitate the growth of the sectors, I propose to reduce the import declaration fee, IDF, on intermediate goods and raw materials used by manufacturers from 2% to 1.5%, while increasing the rate on finished goods from 2% to 3.5%. In addition, Mr. Speaker, I propose to raise the railway development levy for finished products from 1.5% to 2% to further cushion our manufacturers. Mr. Speaker, raw hides and skins are currently subject to export levy. This measure has had a significant impact in increasing value addition in the sector. However, the levy does not apply to tanned and crushed hides and skins, which are also being exported at the expense of value addition. Mr. Speaker, in order to further accelerate value addition and promote the manufacturing of local leather products, I propose to impose export levy on tanned and crushed hides and skins at 10%. Mr. Speaker, the Capital Markets Authority is responsible for promoting, regulating, and facilitating the development of an orderly, fair, and efficient capital markets in Kenya. In order to effectively deliver on this mandate, the authority requires powers to sanction the players in the market in case of default. In this regard, Mr. Speaker, I have proposed amendments to the Capital Markets Act to empower the authority to enforce penalties and sanctions on market players who violate laid down rules and procedures. Mr. Speaker, Policyholders Compensation Fund was established to cushion holders of insurance policies in the event that insurance companies are unable to discharge their services. However, Mr. Speaker, the fund has not been utilized since establishment in 2004, despite 4 insurers going under statutory management. This is because the current provision of the law only allows compensation to claimants of an insolvent insurer. To address these challenges, I have proposed amendments to the Insurance Act and the regulations to bring clarity and enable the fund to be utilized to compensate